In 8 weeks, I'm running my first official half marathon at Alton Towers, and I want to do it in under 2 hours. This is week 1, and I want to bring you along for the ride. I've never really been into running. I could never understand the kids at school that spent their time and weekends at cross country in the pouring rain, and the adults that always had cupboards of smelly running gear. I loved and still love sports. I played football basically every day growing up and could do it for hours and hours. That was my main form of cardio. But the idea of just running flat out for a period of time was never really of interest to me and sounded like torture. In my later years and teens, I didn't really want to run because I wanted to just get big and lift as much weight as possible, didn't want to lose any weight, and cardio just wasn't really my thing back then. However, for the past couple of years, I've been committed to training purely for health and longevity and trying to get to a place that future James will be thankful for, of which running and cardio is a big part of that. I'd always had the goal of running a half marathon and then subsequently a marathon after, but that all went out the window when my goal was purely strength and maybe a little bit aesthetics driven. I've been doing a run a week for about a year now, and I just thought, you know what, it's time, let's do it. And for that extra little bit of motivation, let's make the first half marathon at Alton Towers, a place that I haven't been for absolutely ages. Absolutely loved it as a kid. So I jumped on the laptop, got it booked, ready for the 16th of November. Don't really know what to expect because I actually haven't fully looked at the course, but I imagine you pass through different rides on the run, which is fun. You also get a day pass for the rides at Alton Towers, so that is a huge bonus. Whilst I've been doing a little bit of running over the past year, I have just been winging it. There's no plan or structure. I've just aimed for 10k a week. Sometimes I've hit it, sometimes I haven't. This will be the first time I'm committing to a full training schedule. Like most runners out there at the minute, I'm using Runner to create a schedule. Just to be clear, I've got no affiliation with Runner at all. And yes, I know I could have just typed into ChatGPT a running schedule, but for this, I just felt like I needed a little bit more accountability and guidance and to do it properly. And also, what better excuse to jump on and try something new? The fitness side of my running, I'm not concerned about, but my knees and ankles, on the other hand, are a problem. If I'm inconsistent with my running and I skip a week, my knees feel like they just go back to square one, which is obviously very annoying. I think it's runner's knee, but historically I get to 10k and I start to get a dull ache on the left side of my knee, which rapidly turns into a sharp pain, and then I normally have to stop and walk it off. So that is going to be my biggest challenge by far for the next 7 weeks, and I really hope I can make it through, as the goal is to run the half marathon uninterrupted and in under 2 hours. First things first, I downloaded the Runner app, added the details for the Alton Towers race, selected my current ability, or so I think anyway, selected my preferences and created the plan. I have to say, this is the first time I've been on the app and I am very impressed. I can see why it is so popular. The amount of detail you get for running, but also the other options for different activities like weight and mobility training is also really good. It gave me the recommendation of 8 weeks of training for this half marathon. As I'm 7 weeks away, it flagged up with a warning sign that we're just going to have to skip, which it messed up the timing slightly, but well, I'm sure I'll manage. This first week was composed of 3 runs, which was an easy run for 6.5 kilometers, a long run for 9 kilometers, and hill runs for 4.8 kilometers for a total weekly distance of 20.3 kilometers. Runner will give you dedicated days to do them based on the preferences you selected when you set up your account. I've kept it flexible when it comes to the days that I do the runs because I've had to fit these in around my schedule, and I also want this to be sustainable and enjoyable, which it won't be if I have to cancel all my commitments. But I will be doing the recommended runs and the distance set for each week, even if it is slightly improvised. Okay, so the first run of the week was a 6.5 kilometer easy run on the Monday. I did this one first thing in the morning. I had quite an eventful weekend, to say the least, and last week my training wasn't too consistent in the lead up to that eventful weekend, so this was a tough one. I woke up at 6 a.m. and it's that time of the year again in the UK. It's cold, dark and rainy, which didn't help. Regardless, I got up, got the running gear on, and started with my warm-up. Like I said, I struggle with my knees when I'm running, so I always try and do a few bits to target those in the warm-up. Frustratingly, I also injured my lower back a couple of weeks ago, so my warm-ups were largely focused around those for this week, and will probably be the case for the whole duration. To be honest, I timed this run terribly. Because it was the first one in a little bit of time, and the first one as part of this series, time got away from me, and I only had 30 minutes to do it, which means it definitely wasn't going to be the steady, easy run it recommended on the app. Instead, I decided I would blast out 5.5k within the time that I had, and I'd make up the extra 1k I didn't do in the longer run later in the week. I put the classical music on and set off on my way. And it was pretty tough, I'm not gonna lie. My legs felt heavy, I was really tired, but I got it done and I felt way better after. I also caught the sun rising, which was really nice to see. Because I was so off with the timings, I finished the run and then had to do another little mini run back to the house because I didn't have time for a nice leisurely stroll back. You can add gym workouts and mobility to running, which is cool, and something I'll probably try down the line, but for now, just wanted to focus on the area I know needed improvement. My gym workouts this week were tailored tailored towards preventing any knee pain, which involved getting my legs and glutes firing, alongside a lot of mobility work. So it's a lot of hip thrust and hip work in general. The scheduled plan for this one was a 9k run to take between 45 to 55 minutes. Because I ran 1k less in my first run, I decided I was going to do 10k in this run rather than the 9. This was also an evening run, so the lack of light was also a factor, and I was absolutely shattered. All I wanted to do was eat and go to bed, but I knew I had to go and get it done. I did have to change my normal route slightly due to the lack of light. There is one point where I normally run through a set of fields, but I got to that point and thought, not sure about that. Ended up turning around and doing a bit of a detour. In terms of the run, my legs again felt really heavy, which is slightly concerning, but I think a lot of it was due to the fact that I was really tired. And I also hadn't eaten since lunch, but I quite like training on tired legs in a weird way because my limiting factor is absolutely leg fatigue. So I feel like it's conditioning them for the longer runs. I was also so hungry on this run. Because I was so tired when I got back, I didn't want to give myself time to settle down and eat. I just got changed, had a quick creatine tablet and just set off. It also doesn't help that on the route I take, you pass 3 curry houses, 3 pubs, fish and chips, Chinese, a Domino's and a kebab shop in the space of about 15 minutes. Overall though, it was a good run. I was glad to get it done and I treated myself to a chocolate Huel afterwards. I did have some slight knee pain in the morning. So again, as will be a very common theme, I did my leg workouts in my morning gym session, which involved a few different bits, including lunges and leg extensions. I was actually really looking forward to this one. It's not something that I typically do as part of my regular training, so this forced a little bit of variety in there. I also did this one with my partner Phoebes. The aim was a kilometre at conversational pace, then run to the base of the hill, then 60 seconds running hard uphill, 30 seconds walking, then an easy jog back down, and repeat 7 times. The problem we had was finding a hill this long, as the area we live in is quite flat. So we had a choice between 2 hills. It was this one or it was this one. We went for the second as it was slightly longer and better lit. However, it definitely wasn't 60 seconds worth of running. So again, we improvised by doing full-on sprints and repeated it 14 times instead of 7. I hadn't done sprints in a while, so when I was doing them, I thought I was going really fast, Usain Bolt style. And then when I look back at the footage, that definitely wasn't the case. So it was, pretty tiring, but felt nice to be doing something different. I'll definitely start incorporating sprints into my weekly training. My Whoop doesn't have GPS and I was using a tripod to film the sprint. So unfortunately, the distances measured for this weren't accurate, but the recommended time was 30 to 35 minutes and we were going for 32 minutes, so I'll take that. And that is the first week of training done. Week 1 of 7 completed. All in all, I feel nice. Gymming in the morning and then also doing a run in the afternoon is quite tough, mainly from a time point of view, as it leaves you with very little spare time to manage the other aspects of your life. But it does make me feel really good, very motivated to keep going. My upper body strength training might have to take a little bit of a backseat over the next 7 weeks because I will need to be focusing more on lower body strength and massively upping my mobility sessions to avoid injury. Next week, the distance is increased to 24.5 kilometers across 3 runs and introduces a little bit of tempo training, which is another first for me. Will my knees keep up? Who knows? Bring it on. See you then.